So as part of the newsroom, I'm absolutely delighted today to be catching up with Jenna Nichols, who's an education account manager at Explore. So Jenna, thank you for taking the time from your busy day, I'm sure, to join me this morning.
Absolutely, John. Thank you so much for having me. It's been
That's
great to be a part of everything.
excellent. Well, I'm really looking forward to talking to you actually for many reasons. I've spent a bit of time looking at the Explore website and also at the Start website as well. So I've got a few questions to ask there, but let's go right back. We're in a careers event now. So tell me, what does an education account manager do?
So my role is to work with any establishment that's working with young people across the whole of the UK. So we're working with schools and colleges, but also with virtual schools and with other establishments supporting young people in alternative provisions and things like that. And working with them to be able to access our online careers platform to support students to make informed decisions. So my role is to work with the professionals working with those young people to ensure that they have access to all the resources that will support them to have those conversations in real life.
Brilliant. Very comprehensive. I can see you've done that before. Your elevator pitch there. Perfect. We've just reached the top of the building. So tell me, pre-COVID, how different was your job? Was there more traveling involved? Are you able to actually spend more time talking to clients now? Because some people have had positive COVID experiences from their job point of view.
Absolutely. I think from my perspective, COVID has supported, I mean, I'm home based anyway, to kind of put some context there. Being able to work from home means that I'm actually able to speak to more people because I'm not spending all that time traveling. You know, I'm actually based in the south of the country, if my accent doesn't give it away. And therefore, you know, it means I can actually speak to colleagues up in the north, in the southwest, being able to have conversations with schools all over the place, you know, with a view that hopefully when things open up, you know, I can obviously get out and a bit more, but technology has really supported my role and allowed me to actually reach out to far more people than I would do if I was limited by the motorways and travelling.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because I guess from my perspective, as someone who teaches part-time at the university, the whole impact of sort of blended learning, asynchronous lectures that you don't have to attend, you have to watch, but you know, sometimes labs are face-to-face, sometimes they're online. I guess from your point of view now, there's this whole kind of quite a tsunami shift when it comes to employability with, you know, suddenly working from home isn't a day off.
No.
I remember when the internet started and suddenly, you know, having a website meant that you didn't have to go and do any marketing. You know what I mean? So we're still in these early days of people working out, you know, what does the change of 9 to 5, flexible working, Monday to Friday really mean? And I guess it would probably have taken a bit longer if it hadn't been for COVID, but COVID's going to push some of that stuff through. Of course, that's going to impact all of the employability and the jobs and the way young people look at work, particularly with my students with sort of, you know, wanting to be influencers and having side hustles and all sorts of things like that.
Absolutely. The rise of small businesses and, you know, people having their own businesses and also having time on their hands, I suppose, as well, to be able to operate, you know, alongside other things as well. So, you know, not having to travel to central London. I mean, I've worked in London before, you know, and your working day goes from being a 9 to 5 to being an 8 till 6 on a good day, you know. So I think definitely there's the work-life balance. You know, obviously people have to be committed to that, and obviously that's a bit of an adjustment if you've always been used to an office-based role. But I think, you know, there's so much opportunity to be more at home. I think employers are being more understanding of balance, and I think for young people particularly to, you know, go into you know, an environment where actually they're trusted to work from home and they get to balance their life with that. I think there's some exciting opportunities to come there for them.
Now, let's pick up on what you've mentioned there about employers being part of that, because when I was looking at the Explore website earlier, doing my homework, I mean my preparation for this interview, it actually talks about this careers ecosystem of schools and colleges, local authorities and employers. Well, I would say when I was at school a long time ago, pre-dinosaurs, that ecosystem never existed. It was the school's issue. Local authorities probably didn't care, to be honest, and employers were just waiting for you to come into the market. And for me, if you had 2 A levels, you could go to university, and I decided to go and work in the City of London rather than going to work for Fords and BP or the post office. So you've got that kind of option, you know. Now that ecosystem means that, you know, with Leicester, for example, with its universities, with its sort of, you know, graduate retention strategies and stuff, actual policies, and employers also now with you know, being involved in things like the Gatsby benchmarks and the schools needing to offer these opportunities, these touch points for students with different careers as different options. Suddenly this ecosystem is quite a fertile place in order for you to put yourself with what you're doing with Explore. I mean, do you get that idea? Do you get
Absolutely.
that feeling when you talk to people?
I do. So, I mean, I obviously, like, speaking from my own experience as well, you know, when I was in school, we didn't really know who was around, you know, and one of the things that we work on very much with You Explore and with our online careers platform Start is that we are working on the basis that you can't be what you can't see. And, you know, there's a lot of students that actually have got some incredible, you know, businesses and opportunities and industries on their doorstep, but actually, if they're not working with the ecosystem that they know, which at that point is secondary school or college, then actually how are they ever going to find out what opportunities are out there for them? And I think one of the biggest things that we have done, and we're very proud of doing, is working with, first of all, some large scale employers in the country that people will recognise: the NHS, the forces and the services, Bentley, Coca-Cola, but also very keen to be working with local employers, and we have opportunities on our platform for employers to showcase what they do, so that they can absolutely reach out to the future generation, because they are the employees of the future, really. So we're very keen to be doing that at that level, and to making sure that, you know, when it comes to working with enterprise partnerships and education business models that schools are offering, that's something massive for us, you know, is being able to have that opportunity, and being able to reach out and work with employers and take what they're offering as well, to be able to share it with students.
Yeah, yeah. And now, I mean, at the university, I mean, you know, being a industry practitioner, not an academic, obviously, when I'm not teaching, I'm kind of doing, if you know, kind of put my money where my mouth is, I guess. And what's been really interesting is running the creative media entrepreneurship module for the third years with one of my colleagues, Simon Walsh, to talk to students that want to be freelancers, entrepreneurial, run their own businesses, maybe part-time, full-time. Obviously, the impact, you know, I used to be a Brook Street recruitment branch manager many years ago, opening new branches. So it was always, actually, these guys now, even doing the entrepreneurial module, actually makes them better potential employees, because they've done the research. The competitor analysis is people that you want to work for, you know, something to talk about at an interview. Now, what we've been trying to do is not make it just a third year module, but actually start introducing it to first and second years as well. So they're starting to think from when they arrive at university, are they in the mindset, do they have the skills, the interest, the passion, the desire to work for themselves? And what I was fascinated about, coming onto the Start website, which is your free online careers platform that you run, is it's actually from 11 to 18-year-olds. And I suddenly thought, that's fantastic. Your first year, year 7 of secondary school, suddenly someone's talking to you. Does this come from the Gatsby benchmark stuff with schools and stuff, or is this something that you've specifically taken on with yourselves?
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, obviously, you know, Gatsby, let's be honest, is the buzzword, isn't it? You know, and it encompasses everything that we do, really. But the reality is that, you know, we at You Explore are firm believers that you can never have that conversation too early. I mean, you know, let's think back to when you were 5, you know, and you had in your mind that you wanted to be a certain thing. I always thought I wanted to be an air hostess, but, you know, when you're young,
astronaut,
it's what you've seen. It's really exciting, you know, and I suppose it's just also having an idea of where your journey is going to take you, you know, but also the constantly questioning and the constantly finding out. And not only that, you know, I remember having friends at school who had no idea what their parents did. They knew that they went out to work in the morning, and they knew they didn't come back until late at night, but they had absolutely no idea what they did until perhaps they got to adulthood and realized that actually, you know, perhaps maybe the home that they lived in was paid for by, you know, this white, you know, this huge job, project management or whatever, or but, you know, there was no conversation at home either. And I think that's another angle that we're trying to look at, is not only starting the conversations a lot younger, and actually our new platform does and will have some activities actually for Key Stage 2, so we are starting even earlier than that, but also with the idea that we're branching out to encourage people to have those conversations outside of where you'd expect. So it's not just a school responsibility, it is about a young person, you know, being actively inquisitive about what's out there and what they can do, but also having conversations with those around them. So finding out what their family members are doing, finding out, you know, what is out there to explore as well. So that's why we want to start a little bit earlier, to get students having the conversation, for it to just be a part of that dialogue, really, both in school and hopefully outside of school as well.
Yeah, I guess that's the challenge, isn't it? Really, we've got to start starting to integrate now. Education is for a reason.
Yeah.
Around employability, it's not about education.
Yeah.
Then you either go further or higher, or you do an apprenticeship, and then it's employment. We've got to start thinking about these things are interconnected, aren't they?
And also valuing education in whatever form it takes as well. You know, there are some students that are not academic, and there's no reason why they should be penalised or not feel that they have the same opportunities that their colleagues or their friends do. You know, there's opportunities for them to go off and have a look and to actually know what's out there, you know. And I think also as well, schools are, you know, the improvements that we've seen in the last few years of schools being able to say to students, you know, it's okay that actually you're not necessarily going to be, you know, the highest flyer, but look at what amazing technical and vocational skills you have, and what you're going to be able to achieve from that. So, you know, that's also been quite a big change, I think, and something to encourage as well.
Okay. Now, something else I want to mention to you. I've done a lot of things in my life, and you were telling me just before we started this recording that you'd done quite a few things as well. And I was talking to a colleague who teaches at the university on our Crucible program, which is for students that have graduated that then actually want to go onto a program to help them with their business development. And he was saying, John, it sounds to me like you've had a portfolio career. And I'd never heard of that. And I was like, yes, I've been called a job hopper and everything when I've got into recruitment agencies in the past. So suddenly this portfolio career, and he was saying to me that that's almost like the norm now. You know, we're not expecting the kind of the job for life has gone. We're expecting to do several different things, it maybe across sectors as well.
Yes.
And also the amount of people that were setting up businesses specifically to employ their children because they were quite anxious about, you know, the opportunities that are there. But of course, out of all of these challenges and maybe negative headlines that I'm sure the mainstream media will quite happily serve up to us about this generation that's missed out on education and won't be able to read and write and all this kind of stuff, comes these opportunities, isn't it, really?
Yes.
And so I guess the role that you're playing with your particularly with your start website that, you know, schools and colleges can access, and your You Explore opportunity just means really you're trying to invite everybody to participate in this ecosystem, not just wait for it to arrive at them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, one of our biggest things and something that we've really focused on is, you know, obviously we have lots of things on our platform that you would expect to find. So information around CV writing, interview skills, and things like that. But one of the biggest developments we've had recently, especially on our new version of our platform that you'll be seeing, is the recognition that actually it's all very well directing students to understand, you know, what makes them employable and what supports them, but also highlighting their transferable skills. And I feel like, you know, again, it's another keyword that's come out in the last couple of years is that recognition that actually, you know, a young person might look at a job spec and think they don't have that relevant experience, but the reality is that they absolutely do, you know. And one of the ways that we're trying to support that is that we have embedded the Skills Builder framework into our platform, for anyone who's familiar with that, which is 8 key skills, things like creativity, listening, team building, and also as well positive thinking, especially prevalent after the last year, you know, where students can actually recognise what they are capable of. So rather than looking at something and going, oh, I don't think I can do that, actually, let's look at what equivalent skills you have, or let's look at what experience you've had that actually means you can achieve that, or you can present that in a way that shows you'd be more than capable of doing it. And the other thing that we've got in there is the digital skills framework as well, which is Department for Education. And I think we all know, we've all had our technical skills and IT skills tested over the last year, myself included. Who would have thought I was quite a techie person, actually, up until this point, until you realise suddenly that you're not. You know, so we've also included that in as well, because let's be honest, if this year has taught us anything, it's the fact that our reliance on technology is, you know, is huge, but also I think how much we're valuing face-to-face as well. So I think, you know, what it'll be interesting to see as we come out of this is balancing those skills of actually, if you're somebody that has, you know, you might have built resilience in yourself as an individual, you know, if you've gone through some things this year, you know, but recognizing how resilience can contribute to your working ethics and your working practice, you know, that bounce back ability. And that's the thing that we're trying to do is get students to make connections between those skills and how they can actually then use them to contribute to a workforce, whoever they're working with.
Brilliant. So just one final point from me, and I'll let you get back to your very busy day, I'm sure. I often say to the students, particularly those if I get them in the first year, but with the third year creative media entrepreneurship students, particularly in October last year, at the start of this challenging year of sort of blended learning and being online, is they really need to value what they already know rather than just what they're learning at that particular point. And what I was trying to say to him is, you know, you've never done a YouTube lesson between French and maths, and you've never done a sort of, you know, Snapchat lesson between biology and German, because you have gone off and taught yourself how to use those platforms, you know, through peer learning, you know, following videos, making videos on YouTube, gaming and stuff like that. And then suddenly they come into a university and expect this traditional model, whereas in fact they've taught themselves all of these skills. And I thought it was really interesting on your website, and again, this is my final point, where it said very much around now you provide these resources on the site because young people now are capable and maybe expect that a lot of their access to this stuff they can do themselves.
Yeah.
And as you said, if you can't find it, then you kind of don't know it. Sorry, I can't remember exactly what you said, but if you can't see it, you can't be it type thing. That was it, wasn't it?
Definitely.
And it's the same with information, isn't it? You know, if it's all in one place and it's presented in a way that they understand logically, they can find it. I mean, is this one of the key things, do you think, from your perspective? It's, yeah, the schools have got a part to play and local authorities and employers, but actually if young people come to it and then find in their own time that they can't access the information they want, because ultimately it's them that's explaining it to their parents before the parents make the decision.
You know, yeah, there's been such a role reversal there, hasn't there? You know, because let's be honest, you know, if we go back, you know, I mean, let's be honest, let's go back to when I was in school even 10 years ago. You know, I don't recall having conversations with anyone at home about careers. You know, I knew what my parents did, but I also knew that I didn't want to do what they did. So, you know, that was kind of where that conversation ended, really. And one of, like you said, I think, you know, there are also certain circumstances where actually, you know, there are going to be parents who are looking to retrain and upskill in this area as well. And you know, that's also, you know, how young people might not necessarily feel that they can talk to their families because actually, you know, their families are going through similar things. And on the platform, what you'll find a lot of is that we've tried to make a really good balance. We've got some elements of the platform where actually you can absolutely talk it through with family members, with someone in school, whether that's a tutor, a careers advisor, or a support assistant. But there's also lots of elements where you can go off and do it independently. And sort of those can mix and match. So, you know, we've got lots of interactive activities the students can do independently, but they can also do them alongside their friends. They can also do them alongside someone to support them through it as well if they need to. We've added in lots of elements where they can, for example, we've got a few little bits where they talk about, you know, actually, do I want to do A-levels or am I looking at a more vocational course? And we've given them opportunities to write comments and write notes and think about, you know, points that they want to discuss with that person, you know, and likewise speaking with teachers and whoever's supporting young people in those education establishments to say, look, these are the sort of things we're asking your young people to think about. You can now go back in with them and say, right, so you've looked at A-levels, but actually you're thinking you might go down maybe a T-level route or looking at a B-Tech as an alternative. Why did you think that? Oh, look, you've written some ideas about why you think that's the case because you've read about what B-Techs do and how you can do T-levels. So there's absolutely an independent learning journey for students there, but there's also plenty of resource that teachers can rely on to say, great, we're going to set our students off to do this, and we can find out what they're thinking and what they want to do. And also as well, you know, there's an offline element there of encouraging conversations, which goes back to what we said earlier, doesn't it, about, you know, to me, future next steps, you know, not just employability, but next steps in general, you know, life resilience and things like that. You know, we need to be looking at how those skills and those next steps are, you know, how we quantify them. You know, is it just for your employability or is it actually just to help you navigate through life? So, you know, we've really tried to make that platform, you know, it's not just about us ticking a box to get you a job or get you onto the course that you want. It's actually about you having all of those, you know, combined experiences to make you not only an employable person, but also somebody that will be able to navigate, you know, the world once you leave school. Because let's be honest, you only know what you know up until a certain point. So our main kind of focus and hope really is that we will adequately prepare young people to take their next steps in whatever direction it is that they're hoping to go.
Yeah, I love that kind of young person centered approach where suddenly it feels as if it is bespoke to them, as opposed to them reading the literature and going, well, that's not me because of that. That's not me because of that. And you go, well, now actually let's drill down into this job a bit more. Actually, that is you, but maybe your route it is this way rather than this way.
Absolutely. And I think businesses are doing that now as well, is that they are recognizing that actually, you know, just because a young person doesn't meet all of the essential criteria, you know, you might have a young person that actually doesn't have some of the essential criteria, but they've got every single bit of the desirable that you want, you know. So not only is there, you know, we're speaking to young people about, you know, really being positive about what they're capable of and what they can achieve, but there's also, going back to what we talked about, is that business communication and partnership working, where actually we are speaking with businesses and we work with businesses to ask them what they want from young people, and that's also informing some of the information we share with young people as well.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Jenna, it's been excellent talking to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to explain what you explore is and also what Start is as well. And hopefully someone will look at this now and go, well, actually, I'll go off and find that. So we'll put all the various links out and stuff. And obviously we're doing this for a newsroom, and hopefully you'll join us on that day as well. Even get you answering some live questions. That'd be quite cool, wouldn't it?
Please do. I'd absolutely love that. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
No, great. Thank you for taking the time.
Brilliant. All the best, everyone.